Hey guys, welcome to PC Perspective. Today we're going to do a quick live stream, take a look at a handful of Z77 motherboards from a host of different manufacturers. We've got Gigabyte, MSI, Intel, Asus, ECS, in all different price ranges and all that kind of stuff. Now we still can't talk about the Ivy Bridge specific things, but we are going to show you just basic layouts, performance differences, feature points based on what we see in the instruction manuals and books and that kind of stuff. We already looked at this Gigabyte board on a previous video, but we'll just go ahead and kind of show off here. Now we've got, if we go back to this shot here, you can see we've got all the boxes lined up. Looks really nice. Now we have to move them out of the way so we can actually show things off. So let's, no particular order here. We'll go ahead and start with the MSI board because we happen to have that one open as we're using it for our Ivy Bridge test bed initially. So this is what we have here, the Z77A-GD65. We could kind of consider this a high-end board, but not the GD80. The GD80 is going to be the one that has everything fancy. I think we've heard the GD80 is going to have Thunderbolt and all that kind of stuff as well. This one's going to be more in your kind of modest price range. It's going to have all the features that we love from MSI, Super Pipes, OC Genies, Dr. Moss, things like that. And if we switch over to our close-up cam here, you will see this is the board we've got. So this is the Z77A-GD65. We can see we've actually got our processor installed here already. We've just got a standard Intel cooler, just doing some reference testing and that kind of stuff. 3 PCI Express by 16 slots, and then 4 PCI Express by 1 slots. So for a total of 7 connections, this would make a good backup system for our streaming computer, Ken, actually, now that we look at it. THX supported sound, you've got passive coolers. You can see the cooling is actually pretty minimal on all of these motherboards. If we look at the voltage regulation stuff up, still using heat pipes, but it's just not as robust as it used to be on older boards, and just I think things are getting more efficient. If we look over here, you've got what you would expect to see. You've got your OC Genie button, power and reset buttons. You've got your, what do they call this here? The V checkpoints right here that allow you to check the voltages of all the different CPU memory, PCI Express bus, those types of things. We've got USB 3.0 headers on the back here with your SATA ports. And you can see the MSI does support some caching that is non-Intel caching as well through the SATA 6G ports here, and they've actually got a nice little sticker kind of label that and point it out to you. If we look at the external connections, you can see we do have USB 3.0. Keep in mind the Z77 chipset does now have USB 3.0 controller, Intel's own USB 3.0 controller on there. Coax optical audio, gigabit Ethernet. I believe this is Intel powered. I'll have to double check that. But then for your video output, you've got HDMI, DVI, and VGA. So and again, it's going to be a split for Z77 users in terms of how many people are going to use these display outputs with like the Lucid software versus if you're going to use just the discrete graphics output here. So that is the Z77A-GD65 motherboard here. Probably going to be a great solid board. We'll have more reviews and that kind of stuff up there. Let's see if there's anything that stands out for us here in the box itself. You just got your SLI connectors, you got your cables. No, that's all pretty standard. So that's one down. I'll show you the Gigabyte board again real quick in case you missed the earlier video that we did of it. So this is the UD5H motherboard. Again, not the super high-end board, but kind of more, I don't want to say mid-range, but we'll say mainstream enthusiast. I don't know if that makes any sense, but that's what we'll go with. We've got our same SLI connectors and that kind of stuff, and again, here is your Gigabyte offering. You can see this also has 3 PCI Express by 16 slots. This one does have a legacy PCI slot down here at the bottom. You'll notice the sticker again. This PCIe by 4 slot requires an Ivy Bridge processor for it to actually be active there. This board does include more display outputs. You got a display port, HDMI, DVI, and VGA, and then you've got 4 USB 3.0 ports. If I turn that there so the color works better, rather than just the 2 that are on the MSI. And I think we still have USB 3.0 headers on this. Actually, there's 2 more down here at the bottom. These are both USB 3.0 headers, so you can have a total of 8 USB 3.0 ports on this board, which is pretty good. And then kind of the defining feature of the Gigabyte lineup is this mSATA port right here in the middle, where you can put a micro SATA SSD here for Intel Smart Response technology, or I guess technically for any purpose. You don't really have to use it for that. So yeah, that's we showed you this earlier, and it does come with one of the USB front panel connectors here too. So if you want to take advantage of the other ones, you will have to buy your own product for that. So like I said, we'd already showed you that board. We knew about that. We'll put that off to the side as well. Now let's take a look at Intel's own board. This is the Z77A-70K. Now, they seem to have fallen in the standard motherboard practice of creating names that are nonsensical, that don't really matter to us. But Intel has done a very good job of making enthusiast-class motherboards that do very well, actually. So let me take some of this off to the side. Review documents. Now, right out of the bat, this is an accessory pack that I think is really cool. Now, I don't think this is going to come, in fact, I know this is not going to come with the motherboard itself, but it's pretty neat. They're actually including, essentially, the same wireless solution that you get on the mobile side of things. They're going to sell it as a desktop part as well. And so you can see here you've got your actual antenna for it too. This is the Centrino Advanced N6205. Let's see, yeah, some extra directions for that. We'll take a look at the board itself. Now, I am seeing these for the first time as well, so let's learn together. This is a super secret processor that doesn't exist, so don't look at that. Again, we're seeing very kind of low-key passive cooling on the chipset. I mean, you remember the X79 board and even the P67 Z68 board had a much larger heatsink. Hopefully these has LEDs or something light up. That was always a cool feature that the Intel boards had. Only 2 PCI Express by 16 slots. Does support SLI and Crossfire. 2 legacy PCI slots. So this is obviously, you know, Intel as a company is kind of more aimed towards the massive markets, even with their Extreme board series. So 2 PCI slots, it doesn't surprise me, but I think less of you are going to find that useful. This also has 2 USB 3.0 headers. They're obviously using secondary controllers besides just their own integrated controller in the chipset. If we look at the connections, you'll see there are 4 USB 3.0 ports, 2 gigabit Ethernet ports, and then for video output, they only have 1 here. They have an HDMI output. It's kind of at an angle here, so it's kind of hard to see, but it's a single HDMI. It's actually a really good idea if that's the only output you're going to have, is to put it at that 90-degree angle. You've got your higher powered USB for charging. It's FireWire. We don't see that on a lot of boards anymore, but nice to see if you're looking for that specific feature. Analog audio output, some digital audio output, clear CMOS button, and that kind of stuff. If we go over here, you'll see our SATA ports. Now keep in mind, only 6 of these are powered by the Intel controller, so there must be another controller on here. There's a Marvell controller down here in the corner for that, so you get 2 more SATA 6 ports. Well, they do have some LEDs down here for CPU initialization, video initialization, hard drive, that kind of stuff. So it's kind of posting and monitoring and that kind of stuff. You do have a PLX chip here, so you're going to be able to. They even realize that if you want full bandwidth for USB 3.0 and multiple graphics cards, you're going to need more than the 16 lanes of PCI Express that come just from the Sandy Bridge or Ivy Bridge processors. Power reset buttons on board. That's pretty nice. Looks like we've got a total of 1, 2, 3, 4 fan headers, which is cool. And looks like they might have a higher end model than this, because I'm seeing several places where other controller chips could easily be placed. Maybe they'll have a Thunderbolt model themselves soon. So that's the Intel board. Let me make sure there's nothing else here in the box. Where I showed you the Wi-Fi antenna is probably the most exciting part. Here's one of the USB 3.0 connections here. So you will have, by this motherboard right out of the box, you'll have 6 USB 3.0 connections. Oh yeah, and they do have, this is actually a really cool little device, Bluetooth and Wi-Fi. This will actually ship with the board. So this is not as good Wi-Fi connection as the one we showed you earlier, but that doesn't come with the board. This one does. So this one you just plug into like here, and it's got double-sided tape on this side that you stick to maybe the front of your 5¼ inch bay or 3½ inch bay that you're not using on your case. Plug this into a USB port on your motherboard, and boom, you access Bluetooth and Wi-Fi fairly easily for that. Oh, and there's a Intel mouse pad. We use a lot of those here at Ken, so we will definitely take advantage of that. So that's the Intel model number that I can't remember off the top of my head. Yeah, put that up there. There you go. Z77A-GD65H. Makes perfect sense. Let's take a look at the Asus P8Z77V Deluxe. This is one of their higher end boards, probably the highest end option that will not be a ROG type board. So this is pretty nice. Well, let's just dig inside here and see what we get. Move that out to the side again. So here is the Deluxe board. You can see a little bit more substantial heat sinks here. Again, a PLX chip. Let me get the model number on this one. PEX. I think this is the PCI Express 3.0 compatible version. But you can see some of the features listed on here: USB 3.0 boost, PCI Express 3, Wi-Fi Go, DigiPlus, DRM, or VRM, and for the DRAM as well. Now you can see here there are 3 PCI Express by 16 slots, 4 PCI Express by 1 slots, total of 7 PCI Express connections. Lots of little chips over here, as media has completely taken over these Asus motherboards. Intel Phi, so you've got Intel Ethernet on these boards as well. Now here, again, you've got 8 SATA ports. It's kind of looking like it's going to be standard. You do have 1 additional USB 3.0 header. In addition to, on the back, on this board, there's actually, excuse me, 6 USB 3.0 ports already on here. And then you've got 4, 5, 6 additional ones. So you've got a total of 12 USB ports on the back of this board, half of which are USB 3.0, which is really nice. If we look at video outputs, you've got HDMI and display ports. So the higher end options here, no DVI or VGA. Those take up a lot of space. And chances are most of you guys aren't using those. Maybe DVI would be nice to have. The Intel Gigabit Ethernet is on this side, and I think it's this side too, but I think one of the interesting things that they've done in terms of design is you'll see there's a sticker on top here that indicates this is the Intel Ethernet. And I think these 2 USB 3.0 ports are actually powered by the Intel chipset. So it kind of gives you an idea so you know which ones are powered by which controller, in case you want to know and separate things for bandwidth purposes and that kind of stuff. A pretty high-end board in terms of its power support, voltage regulation, that kind of stuff. If we look at how many fan connectors are, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. There should be at least a 5th one on here. 5, 6. Total of 6 on this board. So that's really good. People who have a lot of fans in their cases. And as we'll be showing you very soon, hopefully, the Fan Expert software, the upgrade that will come along with this motherboard or this chipset release is actually pretty impressive. How much management you're able to do of the fans and how easy it is compared to setting percentages and numerical values and that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of things on here. Bluetooth, is this one of the boards? Oh yeah, here, I'm just going to show you guys this. I don't know, we can't get close enough to read it, but there's a header on the bottom here that says TB_header. TB_header. I'm not sure what that could be. If you guys know in the chat room what a TB_header could be, I don't know. Actually, I do know, but I can't find a controller on here to verify it, so I don't want to say it until I know exactly what's going on. But the point is, something exciting might be happening with that particular product. So we actually have a ton of Asus Z77 motherboards here that we're going to be going over very soon, but I only wanted to bring one of them out here for our little quick preview. Inside the box, we do have 2 Wi-Fi antennas for the integrated Wi-Fi support. Oh, yeah, here we go. Here's your Wi-Fi Go adapter. It actually plugs into a header on the motherboard in the back. So you get 802.11n, BGA, obviously, and Bluetooth 4.0 as well. And then here your antennas for that. You've got SLI bridge. You've got your lots of SATA cables and all that kind of stuff. But again, a fairly kind of standard packaging on this. So that, again, is the Asus P8Z77V Deluxe. So it's going to be one of their higher end products as well. And I believe Asus has a huge array of Z77 options ready for the Ivy Bridge launch. Stream still going good? Okay, there we go. Now here's another one. Now this is a box that's going to get you attention. I don't know anything about the product inside this. I'm going to be honest with you. It showed up yesterday. I haven't really looked at it, but this is a box that's going to get there. And it actually has a, let's switch to the wider view over here. You can see that it has not one Velcro door that shows you the inside and a knight with shining armor, golden armor at that. But it also has a back one to show you performance metrics, 150% boosted, 3 times the gold content in your connectors, which is important, 15 micron, and then all the different families and stuff like that, PCI Gen 3. We kid, but it's just funny to see. It's not often you get solid gold. This reminds me of, what was the Zelda game that came out on Nintendo 64? Ocarina of, was it? I don't know. But it came in all gold packaging. The cartridge was all gold. So it's a reversion to those times. So here's our certificate of quality. Okay, we got that. Let's open up the box here. And as you would expect with a box like that, this motherboard is gold. Don't get too excited. It's not pure gold. Although there is actual gold on it. So here we go. This is the ECS. Oh man, I don't even see it on here. What am I looking at? Z77H2-AX. Z77H2-AX. So you've got pretty substantial looking heat sinks here. I'm guessing this is a PLX chip behind this part. This is probably the chipset itself. Even the external connectors are gold. You have 3 PCI Express by 16 slots, 2 legacy PCI slots, 2 PCIe by 1 slots. This motherboard actually kind of mimics the Intel-based motherboard in terms of the layout down here. Now I see 1 USB 3.0 expansion header here, which you will get in addition to the 4 on the gold-encrusted external connections. Gold paint, I mean. Sorry, guys. Otherwise, they'd have to charge monster cable prices for this. So what do you have here? We've got VGA output, also gold-colored, HDMI output. You got eSATA. This little connection up here is Bluetooth. This one is actually Wi-Fi. So you do have Bluetooth and Wi-Fi on this board as well. 4 USB 3.0 ports, Gigabit Ethernet. I do not know if it is Intel powered or if it is Realtek or something like that powered. But you see we got 2 eSATA, 8 total USB ports, 4 of them USB 3.0 Gigabit Ethernet, and standard 8-channel analog audio output. SATA ports, you've got your 6 SATA ports here. You also have, they also have an mSATA connection down here, so you can install one of those mSATA SSDs if you want for your Intel SRT RAID build, essentially. What else we got of interest in here? Let's see, 8-channel audio, yeah, Crossfire and SLI support, USB 3.0, okay, 12-phase power, it says, yeah, and it's gold. So if you have this motherboard, you need to buy a case or have a case with a window. And I don't know if they sell gold-colored LEDs, but you should look into those as they do. Let's see if there's anything in the box that stands out as well. Well, I can rip it. So, oh, that's gold too. No surprise. We got SLI connectors. We got 2 of them. That's nice. Little plastic things to fill in the ports you're not using. It's kind of 3 SLI connectors. They really wanted you to have those. Here's your Wi-Fi and Bluetooth antenna. Some manuals. What's this? We've got one of your. Everybody seems to be buying the same USB 3.0 header here. You've got SATA ports. That's SATA cables. I'm sorry. That looks like it. So instructions, Lucid Virtue sticker. I guess, yeah, that's it. So this is, again, what do they call it? The golden board, the Z77H2-AX. Now, I guess I didn't mention it on any other boards, but all of these motherboards, including these, I think, let me make sure all of them, I think so, maybe not the Intel board, will support Lucid Virtue MVP. And I got to be honest with you, I'm kind of surprised at how much emphasis all these manufacturers are actually putting on it. They're putting a lot of, they're really getting a lot of their advertising space on the board box itself to talking about Virtue MVP. We'll talk about that in our reviews once we start getting some of these Z77 products up there. We've talked about Virtue before. We've talked about Virtue MVP before. We saw it at CES and several other places. So, yeah, I mean, that was just a quick little roundup. We've got lots more Z77 products coming up. If you guys have any questions in the chat room, I will stick around to answer any of them and show off any of the other products. That's what this is all about. That's the reason we do it live, so that people can come interact with us. Now, we recorded this at pcper.com/live, which is where you should go anytime we do any of these live events. If you go to any page on the website, pcper.com, you'll see on the right-hand side a little section that says PC Perspective Live, upcoming events, a schedule. Now, some of them, like this one, we didn't actually put on the schedule until about 40 minutes before we did it. Seat of the pants thing, let's test out some of our hardware and see what we get. So we'll go ahead and answer a couple of these questions in here in the chat room, also that is at pcper.com/live, just because that obviously is the case here. So what's the PLX chip? PLX chip is a PCI Express splitter, I guess we should call it. It allows you to have like a by 16 or a by 8 connection into it, or even a by 4, and split that off into multiple other connections. It is how motherboard manufacturers can increase the amount of PCI Express bandwidth on a platform that is maybe limited. Sandy Bridge only had 16 lanes of PCI Express, and if you wanted to run multiple graphics cards, more than 2, you couldn't actually do that without going through a PLX chip. It lets you split. Each graphics card has a by 16 connection, even though it's only filtering back into a single by 16 connection, or by 8 or by 4. I know when the USB 3.0 controllers first came out, they had to use PLX chips to bridge off of the PCI Express integrated on the chipset in order to make sure they had enough bandwidth so you weren't actually limited. So you'd notice with SATA 6 gigabit per second and USB 3.0 speeds, sometimes if you had 2 graphics cards, the USB 3.0 speed would be really, really low. And one of the ways they figured out how to get around that is through things like these PLX chips. No gold manuals. No, I'm sorry, the CCS board didn't have it. Any other questions that you saw in here through the chat, Ken, while we're going on there?
Not really.
I don't have any ideas on pricing on these yet, but chances are, actually, the reason we can show you all these is because if you go to Newegg or Amazon or whatever, Z77 motherboards are for sale. You can buy them today and before Ivy Bridge processors come out. The benefit to that is these will work with Sandy Bridge processors. If you want to upgrade to Ivy Bridge down the road, you absolutely can, although, again, unless you're using the integrated graphics portion, I really don't think there's going to be a huge necessity to move from Sandy Bridge to Ivy Bridge, so you can do that. I've even seen, I think Gigabyte is advertising on our website today, a deal if you buy a Z77 board and a Sandy Bridge processor, you get a $25 discount through Newegg, so that's nice. Yes, they're all UEFI BIOS at this point. I think this might be the platform where Intel kind of required it. Now, the quality of those will vary from manufacturer to manufacturer. Asus was really the first company to have a super high quality version of it, but MSI caught up pretty quickly, and Gigabyte has now as well. I haven't tested an ECS option in a little bit, so I can't say for sure, but they will all have those in there. Let's see. Yeah, that's pretty much it. We'll have, like I said, we'll have a lot more information on Z77 platforms. Also, keep paying attention to the site. Follow me on Twitter, just at Ryan Shrout, if you're interested in this kind of live events, because we may be able to do something live on Sunday as well that will be pretty interesting. We're still trying to figure out who's going to be here and who wants to be involved in that. But we might do some product demonstrations of Z77 motherboards. It's on the schedule as a to be determined because it is yet to be determined. So that's going to be it. Thank you guys for joining us at the Z77 Roundup preview, and we will see you soon on PC Perspective.